I'll recording in
Jesus.
progress.
Wow, that was loud.
One of the things that I've had a real hassle with is doing the transcripts, and
Mm.
I've signed up to bloody AI infested this thing called Descript because
Yeah.
it's difficult, but it's time consuming because essentially I've got to go through the whole recording and then
Sorry.
uh, and then sort of double check everything and fix up all the words, which is fine. I mean, it's an hour or
It's
so.
arguably more work doing the fixing thing, isn't it? Like when
Oh,
AI
yeah, it
writes your
is.
code.
It
Yeah.
is.
I mean, me and I don't know if you're aware, but me and Stephen Hay tried to do a podcast a while ago, and we did like 2 or 3 episodes, and it was really good. Like we had good chats about stuff. Um, but it didn't.
Stephen Hay, is that the guy from
He, he so
Utopia?
he's Californian, but he's based in the Netherlands. He's based in Utrecht.
So it's somebody else totally. So,
Oh, there's Stephanie Hay, I think, right? So there's someone.
was the Hay guy that's Canadian that lives in Australia and is one of the owners of Utopia?
No,
Sorry,
yeah,
but
that's a different Hay. No, so Stephen and I are friends. We met like, oh, I guess it must have been CSS Day. I think, yeah, Stephen was the compere in CSS Day in Amsterdam, and
Stephen
we've
Hay, I'll
we've
have to
always
look
got
him
on.
up.
But yeah, we started doing a podcast, and at the time there was none of this transcription, like AI based transcription stuff. So we spent the longest amount of time doing the transcriptions. Like we were taking turns to do like chunks of text.
Yeah.
Um, so we did it all manually, and I think now it would be maybe a bit easier. Arguably, it's one of the things that AI, to use it as like a really broad, uh, the really broad term, like speech, it's sort of speech recognition
Yeah,
on
but it doesn't still
whiz, isn't
doesn't
it? Yeah.
that's the thing, it still doesn't work that well. What I've been using it for is that the first part I use it just to get a draft transcript. So then I take that draft transcript and I watch the podcast and listen to it and fix all the bugs. But then somebody
Yeah.
asked me, can you do speaker labels? And I thought, yeah, I suppose I can, but it's going to take more time. So then I went back through
Yeah.
and manually, like, I had like 2,000 lines of text with aliens. And so I had to
Yeah.
listen to it and work out what I was saying. So then somebody suggested that I try this Descript that does speaker labels, and it's
Mm.
just fucking waste of time. It's really hard. Like with a lot of AI, you'll say do this, it'll come back after 10 minutes, give you a partial do it done, and then say, do you want me to do the rest? And so you just have to keep asking. And then I did
Wow.
that, got it out, put it in the thing, realized that the labeling was just fucked. It just want it,
Mm.
I yeah, and then it takes more time. So what I'm
As in the
doing,
labeling, as in like where
the,
it tries to detect who's the speaker, that sort of
yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. If it
you
can't do
think,
that, then it's not much. You might as
well,
well
no.
not bother. Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought that it would be useful for, but it's not. It cost me $35 as well. Anyway,
I do have a. You just reminded me of something that I was chatting to someone the other day because they were reviewing some like AI based accessibility products, right? And you just reminded me because it's one of these things where it's like you had one job, and
yeah,
it was really interesting to me that this company, and I would name and shame them, but I can't fucking remember their name.
yeah,
But
that's fine.
they're one of these people where they were doing one thing and then they pivoted to like, oh, now it's all AI, like we'll fix your stuff with AI and we'll do, all these
Yeah,
sort of non sequiturs about AI. And the weirdest thing about it was that they had like a sort of product launch video, um, where they're describing the product and how powerful it is and how it works. And when it came to the section about AI, which was the sort of central theme, I suppose, they started to do a demo, and they kept having to apologize because it
Ooh.
wasn't doing it. It wasn't, I mean, I guess it was trying to detect WCAG errors or whatever, and it was failing to do it. And the weirdest thing about it is that they kept that in the video,
Yeah,
like their own
right.
product that they're trying to sell fucking up, and
Yeah.
then published the video for as a marketing exercise.
That
Yeah,
is
just
odd, isn't
extraordinary.
it? I mean, that's one of the questions that yeah, I mean, and I ask it fairly regularly. I say, come on, you people, on LinkedIn and that, show us the goods, show us how great,
Yeah,
WCAG can be tested using AI, because I just haven't seen it.
no, and I don't know what the use case is either because so on the one hand you have automated testing, right, which catches I don't know 30 to 40% of errors, because it can only cover sort
Yeah,
of non-subjective parts of WCAG, right? And then on the other end, you're testing things like sort of headings and labels. You're
yeah,
testing to see whether it's worded correctly. Now
yeah,
AI can't help with that either
exactly,
because
yeah,
it doesn't know what your intent is. It doesn't know what you're trying to communicate. So even a very advanced, the AI would literally have to be your colleague and working on that project. Like
yeah.
for that, like it doesn't work like that. So
And
so
even
somewhere in the
once you've
middle,
done
they
all
think that
that, you've still got
you're
to
sorry.
you've still got to QA it yourself.
Well, yeah, and that yeah, of course, there's that too. So you might as well just do it in the first place. Yeah,
I mean, I have
absolutely.
asked this question, like I went through each of the criteria and wrote an article called Mind the Gap or WCAG Mind the Gap or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember the
Yeah, and
title.
basically, I just sort of pointed out all of the areas where um, AI or even, typical automation, which is really like I can trust automation, but I can't trust
Hmm.
AI to actually make any interpretations. But anyway,
Yeah,
um,
well, this is the thing, right? So on that side of it, you've got like they are hard and fast things that you're looking for, like a missing alt attribute. Like so, not either it's not there at all. So it's not an
yeah,
empty alt and it's not an alt with a. So first of all, it's very easy not using AI and probably much more efficient just to.
yes,
I mean, I use a fucking CSS selector for doing that,
yes, yeah,
just to
exactly.
not brackets alt, right? So that's taken care of. You don't fucking need AI for that. But then how well the alt text is actually written, again, it's subjective. It's about the intent.
Yeah,
It's about
and about
so
context. Yeah,
they're trying to fill a gap that isn't there. I think.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's why they're going to fail ultimately. Uh, but yeah, I'm waiting for the our great savior company, who shall not be named, to do 100%. So, um,
When you say, so I'm sorry, this is a slight tangent, but I know you're a music fan and you love your garage punk and stuff like that.
yes, I do.
When you when you say he who cannot be named, are you thinking of Sauron or are you thinking of the singer from the band The Dwarfs?
I'm, I'm, I'm thinking neither. I'm just thinking of a pedestrian accessory company that makes
Ah,
something
yeah,
beyond its means. That's all. Um,
yeah, yeah.
so anyway, we got into a conversation already, but I just want to say this is Fireside Chat, sponsored by HTMLZ. It's at etsy.com/UK shop HTMLZ. And if you use the code Piggy Trump, you get 20% off.
I
Uh,
love that code.
I don't think is that anybody's actually used that code, but hey. Well, and I found this picture of you somewhere on the internet.
Yeah, this is a picture of me wearing my I had this like beanie hat thing which said security on it.
Yeah,
And I would wear that everywhere, and I would get people sort of like make sort of comments or remarks or look at me funny because I think they would. It was a sort of masculinity thing where I think they thought that I was like I'm like a security guard, like I'm tough, sort of
right.
thing.
Yeah,
And but my official line is that it's short for emotional security. So
nice.
I actually sell a T-shirt which has security written in big capital letters, and then in tiny, tiny text just above it, it says emotional.
Oh,
Not
nice.
that I'm emotionally secure myself, but
But
the
yeah,
idea was that
anything helps. Okay,
Yeah.
so we've got that. Oh, now let me stop sharing and I'll get the Rose Gallery because it wasn't intended, but it's just ended up being a gallery of people that we can riff off and some people
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
some people you don't. So I will just
absolutely.
I'll find that. I mean, other question I ask is what chair do you want to sit in? But they're not real chairs. Neither of them.
I love the cardboard chair, but
Yeah.
I'm technically now out as being non-binary or agender specifically. So I suppose I should sit in the multicolored like LGBT chair, I guess, with the hat. What's going on with the hands above the chair?
The hands. They're
The antlers.
the arms of swallow. It's a sort of symbol of whatever you like. You'll see a picture of when I bring up the Rose Gallery. This I actually used these arms on a T-shirt for that Adrian asked me to do, or he didn't ask
Ah,
me.
nice.
Or, yeah, but yeah, it's sort of like a symbol that looks like the logo of another company. Uh,
You've made David one of the most memed people alive at this stage, I think.
yeah, well, yeah, and that's the thing. Well, I do, yes, I do that with Dave, with Pat, and to an extent Johnny because they're my friends and they're always there with me, So, well,
Yeah, yeah, no, it's fun. I love it. I mean, I mean, I remember you had a little character version of me in the bottom of some slides once that
yeah, that was
because I was sitting on the front row for your talk. This was in the Toronto
Accessory
Accessibility
TO
Conference, wasn't it? I
2019.
remember
Yeah,
sitting on the front row and seeing myself pop up at the bottom of the slides. I
yeah,
love that.
but
That was
yeah,
great.
you were asking annoying questions, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or pointing out that accessibility isn't just HTML or whatever, like
Yeah,
those kind of things.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
The sort of thing that people always say. Um,
Yeah.
now, well, how the fuck do I? Sorry, I'm
No,
just
you're right.
I yeah, I've got to share. Where is it? Oh, okay. Hold on. Yeah. As I said to Bruce the other day, this this runs a lot more smoothly than it used to. So, which is not saying a lot, but
I can only imagine, because I haven't heard it yet. I can only imagine the kind of conversation you had with Bruce.
it
Um,
was really relaxed. It was a nice conversation. I mean, Bruce is one of those people I've never like. I have talked to over the years, but not a lot. I was
oh,
like,
really?
yeah, I always
Because
felt like
that's interesting to me because I think of you as being similar figures in like in that you're both
aging and
yeah, not just that, but like you're both um very independent and very much yourselves. There's no there's no like pretense or guile about things. You just go about
well,
things in a
it's like
you know
you
but yeah, I guess so. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. Well, that's why we all get
finally.
along. I think that's why we get along. Then, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've always known Bruce. Well, I've known Bruce for many years, but well, like I'm close to Pat, who is a good friend of Bruce's. So
Well, they worked together, didn't they, in opera? I
did
guess.
they? Yes, yes, they did.
Yeah. So going back a long way now, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh fuck! It's that difficult. Um,
What are you trying to do? Share screen?
yeah, I'm just trying to share the screen, but there we go. Share the screen, so you can see the screen now. Can you?
Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
the way it works is the people here, I ask you, who is this person? Funnily enough, most people don't know, well, not most people, some people like Bruce didn't know who the swallow was or didn't recognize the photo. Um,
Yeah.
but So top left, who we got?
Well, yeah, that's David Swallow, top left,
Yeah,
and then the chap, the
oh,
chap.
hold on. I wanted to explain what the. I had this idea because I wanted to give Swallow some yellow feathers, as
Oh, I thought they were chilies. Weirdly enough, I
no,
thought they
no,
were like
they're yellow
jalapenos.
feathers to indicate his cowardice, and so I mocked up this. Sure, I won't actually make it, but it's just an idea I had for the cowardly accessibility expert Swallow. Um, well, he's not a coward, and I was going to say he's not an expert either, but he does have some expertise. I
At
mean,
least
he's
he's
got a
not a
fucking
coward.
degree. He's got a PhD in web accessibility. I mean, how many people can say that? How many people
Yeah,
want to say it?
that is impressive, and I think the work that he did around anxiety
Oh
was
yeah,
was well, that was I thought that was particularly, that was really fresh. People weren't talking about it that much,
yeah,
and I really appreciated it. So I had like a chronic anxiety issue for most of my 20s, and panic disorder and generalized anxiety, all of that sort of stuff,
yeah,
and so yeah, any sort of topic that addresses that, because it's still not very well understood, because as you know, the mental health portion of the health service in this country is basically
shit,
non-existent, and
yeah,
yeah, they're just you they're not trained for it, like your average
yeah,
GP is like just. I mean, I've literally had people, I've turned up, like I keep getting like serious chest pains and I'm shaking and everything. They'll do an ECG and they go, well, there's nothing fucking wrong with you physically, so fuck off.
yeah.
Like it took a long time for them to realize that I had this disorder, So yeah, anyone who talks about that sort of stuff, I've got a lot of time for.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I've just got a lot of time for the swallow. I'm meeting up with them. I'm going up to Birmingham to meet with him and Pat on the weekend. We meet up a couple of times a year, and we're meeting in Birmingham to celebrate my birthday. And
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Well, that's Bruce's neck of the woods as well, isn't it,
yeah,
Birmingham?
yeah. Well, hopefully we're going to meet up with Bruce and Stuart, hopefully as well. And I'm meeting up with the coach because I've got loads of relatives up there, and I was up there just over Christmas. But I'm going back up, and I've got a second cousin who is an interesting character, so she's going to come out and have a drink with us on Friday night.
Oh, right. Nice.
So we've got a little Airbnb place right in the middle of Birmingham, so should be fun.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds great. I've
Yeah.
actually never been to Birmingham. I need to put that
I wouldn't
on
go
my list.
there if I didn't have to. I don't know. It just, I mean, I lived there when I was younger. It's just when I was a child, I lived there for a period of years.
It's a
Um,
big old place, isn't it? It's a bit,
yeah.
it's slightly intimidating in the
Well, it's
sheer
just
size of
rough as guts and depressing and
it.
grey, but as is much of, I don't know, what's it like up in Norwich? I've never been to Norwich.
Yeah, Norwich is it's actually a really nice place. We've got a weird situation in Norwich where, like, Norfolk, so we're bang in the middle of Norfolk, like
Yeah.
the butt cheek of the kangaroo that is the UK, as I normally explain it to people. We're right in the middle there, and Norwich is a very cool, progressive, inclusive place. We have a really good pride. It's just, yeah, it's where I was born, and although I'm not like, nationalist or patriotic or anything like that, I'm quite proud of being part of Norwich, because it's a great place.
And you
But
like it
it
there?
yeah, yeah, right, I love, yeah, I mean, I'm speaking from Norwich now, and I'm like 10-minute walk from the centre. Our flat's quite near the centre, but yeah, the trouble with Norfolk is that, while Norwich in the middle, this little island, is this lovely, progressive, sort of forward-thinking, educated place. The whole of Norfolk is like a Tory wasteland, basically.
Yeah.
It's racist farmers and fascist, especially on the coast. You know, it's always for some reason it's always people on the coast. They're always the worst.
Well, they sort
Um,
of, yeah, they sort of warehouse people on the coast these days, don't they?
well, they
Um,
they seem to be warehousing racists on
yeah,
on the coast. Yeah.
I
Mm.
can't help whenever I think of Norwich, I can't help but think of I can't remember his name, Alan Partridge.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Actually, someone called me Alan the other day because I mentioned that was yesterday. Yeah, I mentioned Norwich, and it took me a while. I was like, "What is that referring to?" I was like, "Ah, of course,
yeah,
Alan Partridge." And the thing is, there was a petition when the Alan Partridge film came out, the Alpha Papa. There was a local petition for him to do the premiere in this really shitty cinema we have in a place called Anglia Square, which is actually currently being knocked down and rebuilt because it's dreadful. But there's a little cinema just there, and so yeah, the idea was it would be really funny if they did the premiere for the film there. They ended up doing kind of like a little premiere there, but then one in a proper
yeah,
fucking cinema in
yeah,
like London
yeah.
or whatever. But I because I know that little precinct quite well. It's like just a little shitty concrete shopping precinct. I found my way in through the stairs. Like there were people that they were at capacity and they were saying people shouldn't be coming in or whatever. But I knew there was a back way in, so I actually saw him arrive and come out and do all that. But it was so funny because like it's just this sort of horrible like brutalist car park opposite, and the car park people had commissioned this like welcome to Norwich sign, which was just like red aerial bolt on this plastic
Right.
banner that they it was just perfect, and it was they did it unironically as well, like they weren't trying to make it
Yeah,
look like
but yeah,
depressingly bad. It was just what it's like there. So yeah, that was kind of fun. I enjoyed the film actually. I thought it was really good. um
I don't think I've seen it.
it is
Um,
really it's
yeah,
funny. It's got Tim Key in it. Tim Key's very good in it as well as his like sort of assistant.
I'll have to
Yeah.
watch it. So okay, so we got the swallow. Well, at least you recognised him. That's one of the classic
Yeah,
swallow.
this game is like I mean there I recognise probably a little bit more than the half people here.
Well, that's okay.
Um,
Then the other half we can chat about. Who's
yeah,
next?
yeah, sure. So,
Who's up?
so what? Next person along. I know that face, but I cannot think of the person's name,
Well,
and I feel like that might be a picture of them from a long time ago.
yeah, I couldn't find a picture of the way it was. Well, I couldn't find a
Is
picture
it
of the.
Hans?
No, no, it's
Oh,
Ian
okay.
Hickson. I put this on
Oh,
because
okay. Yeah,
it was over a discussion. Well, it was over a article on the heading structure, the outline algorithm that you and I first started
yeah,
to cross swords and discuss and became
yeah,
friends. You know,
yeah. It's actually yeah. I remember that whole time very fondly, and I do think about it quite often. And I always think of you around Christmas. Funny enough, because we had like yeah we'd got into some sort of debates and stuff I suppose which was the style at the time, but then we'd reached some sort of agreement or something, but then we bonded over our mutual fondness for Jethro Tull, and we were
oh
messaging each other. I think it was probably Christmas Eve or Christmas Day about
yeah,
Jethro Tull for some reason.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
um,
yeah, I'm a great fan of Jethro Tull.
you're a Tull
Bruce
head.
Lawson hates Jethro Tull. I don't know
Well,
why.
yeah, but he probably doesn't even hate Jeffrey, so he just has to say he does because of his punk credentials, you
Yeah,
know.
but I love punk music too. I mean, it's
No,
just
I know. You and I have eclectic taste. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Um, but yeah, this Hixie, he disappeared off the scene. I mean, Hixie
Has he
was
really?
the sorry.
He's not involved with Whatwooger anymore.
No, no, he's not.
Oh,
He got moved out of that. I mean, this guy was the comptroller of HTML5, really.
yeah, yeah.
And you know,
No,
I must admit,
I
he did a fucking great job, a lot of it, but he was just a bit of an asshole. So,
yeah. No, it was weird because I to begin with, because I suppose I identified heavily with like knowing HTML, caring about HTML, and And so when these new elements came out and everything, I was so ready to defend them and say, like, this is a new thing, it's really cool. And I wanted to see them with rose-tinted spectacles, I suppose. So when we got talking about it, and I guess you were pointing out some, uh, what would you call it, like some issues or some inconsistencies or whatever with the spec and with other things or whatever it was. I was quite defensive about it, but that was without knowing any of these people who worked on it.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, we
I
worked
didn't
it
know
out
who
pretty
Hixie
quick.
was.
I think we came to an understanding. I mean, we don't,
Mm.
obviously don't have the same views on everything, but I think that we, reached a point of understanding the practicalities of the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. I
some
and
people
and I
think that
ended up.
I still think that I hate HScript. I never hated it. I just thought it was useless, and so that's the
Yeah,
reason why it's still in the what W. Well, I mean, it wasn't going to leave the what WG spec because they wanted to keep it for whatever reason. So what
wait, which one? Sorry.
H group, I
Yeah. So
moved it from I removed it from the W3C spec at the time, only because it was supporting something that didn't happen.
yeah,
The,
yeah. No,
the, the,
I remember H group. People
yeah,
still
but it's
seem to.
still there, and now it has sort of I put some sort of frosting of semantics on it so people feel as if it's meaningful, but yeah, it's
So
still HScript.
the idea, right, was that if you put an H1 and an H2 inside an H group,
Yeah,
then that would be as one heading in the outline, or it would make sure that the H2 didn't introduce another section in the
that's right.
outline. Right. I don't know if that was ever implemented
It
correctly
wasn't
anywhere.
implemented. It was
No.
never that's the point.
So this
Now,
is why I ended up falling on your side with all of this stuff
yeah,
against like folks like Hixie, was that they were coming from like a purely from a theoretical standards and paving the cow paths sort of way of looking at things, I think. Whereas you were looking at it from a more practical sense in terms of accessibility, like what's the actual outcome of this? How's this actually going to be interpreted?
yeah,
How's it going to
exactly.
work in a browser and then in a screen reader plugged into that browser sort of thing?
Well, I
And
mean,
so
I
yeah,
wouldn't have minded if they'd implemented it, but it wasn't normally the requirements on the browser to implement the outline algorithm. That was where and so it didn't get implemented.
no, it's funny because I actually saw one recently. It was in some fresh code as well, and I thought, oh, someone's actually using H group. But then I had to point out that because whether people are using H group or not, people tend to do that thing, and it's one of my pet hates because it's a pet hate because it's difficult to actually fail it in terms of an audit. Because if there's an H1 then an H2, it's like, well, okay, you've introduced another section, but I bet that's probably not what you wanted to do. Like it semantically it works. It's
Yeah,
just the intent is then misaligned. And it's something that it's one of those things that people still I find all the time, even if they're quite good with accessibility. That thing with headings of like, oh, I want a subheading, I'll just use another heading. It's like that's an H2 isn't a subheading, it's a heading.
yeah,
And having
exactly.
having to
Yeah.
point that out a
Well,
lot.
that's why I tried to make that in H group that if you've got a heading in there and you've got paragraphs after it or before it, that those paragraphs like take on some magical headingness.
Yeah,
They don't actually, but I mean that's what they are supposed to represent.
yeah. I remember that aspect of it. So it would sort of stop an H2 being a heading, but if there was a P in there, then at least there would be some sort of something that would associate the paragraph
Yeah,
to the H1 above it, sort of thing. I mean,
yeah,
that's another thing that I think is something that people seem to fundamentally don't appreciate is how much of accessibility or how much of like non-visual UX is about grouping things, like
yes,
what the group is. Like you have a label for the region, so you know when you go into that region, you have the context, and that
yeah,
kind of that sort of stuff gets left out a lot. We were looking at cards for a design system the other day, and I was explaining how we need to have some sort of generic role on a card, because if it's not in a list, if it's not a list item, or it doesn't belong to a list item, which it, ordinarily it would, but if you have a card on its own, unless you have some sort of grouping mechanism, it's just some stuff, right? It's just,
Yes,
there's an
yes,
image and then there's some text, and you wouldn't, there's no kind of like non-visual metaphor for it being a thing, like
yeah,
an encapsulated thing. So like role group, because region is sort of like a bit overkill, I think, probably, because I mean, partly because it gets
yeah.
mapped in some circumstances to being a landmark and what have you.
Well,
But
it's
yeah,
got to
just
have a
chuck a
yeah.
role group on.
I think it's got to have a name, doesn't it, in order to be an announce. Well, the same as group.
Yeah,
The same that H group provides that grouping. It has a role as group by default, but it doesn't get named. It doesn't get announced
right.
unless the group has an accessible name. So
Yeah,
essentially, it just keeps it. It it conveys the grouping semantics, but doesn't expose them by default.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I've got you. But to
yeah,
go back to the what we were, to Hixie and everything, I wasn't confident they were thinking about that sort of stuff. Whereas you were in the parallel organization, but they also seemed to be kind of ideologically uninterested in it as well, which
yeah,
was
yeah.
it was very frustrating to watch that. And obviously, I felt bad for you because you were. I mean, the main element was the other one, of course, wasn't it?
Oh
Like,
fuck, that was
I mean,
such a
specified specifically to mark out the main part of
yeah,
the page, and yet and then the folks on the Whatwood side were stepping in to go, oh well, actually, I think you could have multiple mains if you want to,
yeah,
just
yeah.
to sort of muddy the waters for no good
Yeah, so
reason.
that's what it was in the
Yeah.
What WG spec for ages, and then until about 2016 when Hixie just dropped out more, and the people
Oh,
that
that was
were
that long ago, was it? Blimey.
oh yeah, I thought maybe in 2017 where I
Hmm.
did this big PR that basically aligned the main element in the What WG spec with the main element in the W3C spec, which was
Ah, got
great.
you.
Which is I was really pleased about that because the idea of multiple mains. I mean, funnily enough, I remember your mate Jeremy Keith. He was
Hmm.
arguing for that. So
I mean, again, if you're sort of speaking from a this is the thing, I think, is that if you're looking at it as a well, theoretically, if you have a section, you could have the main part of a section or whatever. I kind of get it in theory, but the whole point of it being devised in the first place was really as a landmark, right? As a
yeah,
and it was one of those landmarks which you would only have once
one off.
on a
Yeah,
page because it would make a nonsense of it otherwise. And I
yes,
mean, there are certain sectioning elements which can be landmarks in some certain situations and not be in others. But it's just again, I mean, I keep using this word, but it's the intent of it was to say that this part of it's the main part of the page or the unique part of the page, and that it was sort of like deliberately misconstrued, I think, in
yeah,
some respects.
yeah. There was
Yeah,
just lots of yeah. I mean, that was like I don't generally feel as if I've burnt out throughout my career, but I definitely burnt out of doing web standards for a while after that. I mean, it was my like I was thoroughly engaged with it to the point of exclusion of other stuff. So I'm glad that I sort of stepped away from it. And
yeah. And I think, yeah, you're at that burnout point, and burnout
yeah,
is always about trying to do good, and whoever the world around you or the organization you're contending with not allowing you to do the good that you want to do. That is essentially burnout, which is why burnout is usually in a capitalist context, especially in accessibility, right? Because you feel like it's your job to like make things better for customers or make them better for users or whatever it is. And the organization is, well, we don't care about that unless it makes us more money. And so you're putting all of
yeah,
this effort into making things just better, and they just prefer their dark patterns. That's going to demoralize you very quickly, and then
yeah,
then you're going to plunge into burnout like really fast. I mean, that's why I ended up having a break from like doing auditing for a long time. And I mean, now it's sort of something that I might be called upon to do, but probably usually as a small part of a larger like design system related engagement or whatever.
Yeah,
But I had to stop doing like audits all the time because it just felt like a lot of the time it was, so you have these two factors. One, you have to be really, really like accurate. Like there's the professional obligation to interpret WCAG as accurately as possible and to
yeah,
catch everything, which is a really difficult game to play because so much of it is quite subjective, right? So
yeah,
that's very stressful. But simultaneously, quite often, you're doing this for an organization who is only interested in you doing it in the first place, so that you become liable instead of them for any mistake that you might make there. And they tend to, you know, they don't see it as an actionable thing. It's just a,
well,
well, now
yeah.
we've had that audit done, we'll put that in the filing cabinet, and if
Well,
anyone
that's why
asks
we
us,
don't
well,
call
we're
them
working on it, you
audits
know.
at Tetralogical. We call them assessments. And
Yeah.
also
Okay. Yeah.
that we don't provide in general. We don't provide a report. We do provide an ACR standard that's as in the accessory performance report, which is like the VPAP.
Hmm.
But we essentially provide a bunch of issues which the organization can put up onto their, and we quite often do put it into their Jira or into their bug trackers. So they get a lot
Yeah.
of
Nice.
issues. And so each issue is an actual item about, you know, this shit isn't correct. Here's how to fix it. And, you know, yeah.
It's
So
always like when we were working together at TPG. That was what, that was the part of it that kept me going, was the fact that there was this focus on like actually delivering advice, and it was you could solve it as a design problem. And this
yeah,
is the thing that I think a lot of people forget about me, is that my background is as a designer. I went to fucking art college, and
yeah,
most of my the first part of my career in the web, if you want to call it that, was doing, you know, designing but then implementing visual design. So I was sitting in that, you know, in the middle there, where I was I was taking like, you know, typographic ideas and or whatever the sort of communication design elements, but actually coding it as well. That was where I was sort of happy in that place. That's what people call unicorns, right? Which is which is like, it's so funny because it's, I don't think it's that rare. I think there are quite a lot of people who do that. It's just that we are really intent on erasing those people because because I mean, I did a whole video about this. It was called something like "Why is everything binary?" But it's, we want people to either be developers, either be programmers, or be
yeah,
designers, right? And it's like choose one. And so that kind of middle ground there. I mean, I there was someone the other day who I won't name them, but there's someone who you've probably met, but very influential in accessibility. But they made some remark about how, like, let's not emphasize too much about front ends because front end doesn't really exist anymore. Like nobody cares about front end. And it's like, well, first of all, don't make that a self-fulfilling prophecy, but also there is this attitude now with that bridging position, which is so important between
mm,
kind of high level design and then implementation, and having that in one head or in one team who are, you know, who are good at that, is disappearing, and it's really sad, and it's disappearing because we're intent on compartmentalizing things so much. You know, just do a design and throw it over the. I mean, I'm
yeah,
trying to teach myself Figma at the moment because it helps me be able to collaborate with designers. And when I say designers, I mean UI designers who are not, you
yeah.
know, they're not coders or programmers. Which, you know, no shade or anything. That's just not the area they're comfortable with. And it's so silly how like Figma is just a worse version of CSS, right? And it's like, well, can't I, it would make so much more sense if I was just making this in the code? Like I'm designing at the same time.
Yeah.
CSS does all of that. CSS is the best design tool history's ever given us. But for some reason, I have to do it in this shitty proprietary software first, and then
Yeah.
convert it. It's so
I've
inefficient
looked
in
at
personal anyway.
Figma, It's just these huge canvases, and it really disorientates me. I mean, we
Yeah.
work with Figma designs stuff, but luckily it's not me that does it. It's the more other people within the organization.
Mm, yeah.
But anyway, we've only got two. It's going to be like a 6 hour. It's going to be the
I'm
longest.
drawing it out because I'll be embarrassed about not knowing some people. So
That's all right.
yeah.
So the number three, top
Well,
row.
that looks like that's Pat in the middle there.
Yeah, and this
Yeah,
this
yeah, cool, cool.
shirt is. I talked about it with Bruce. It's one of those shirts that nobody has bought, and surprise.
Well, really?
Yeah,
Ah,
and I mean I've tried to give them away, and still people won't take it. But that's part of the fun is. I mean I created it not to be a money maker, but just because.
well, you can make the design like once
Yeah,
you've come up with the idea for the design, it doesn't cost you anything to put it up, right?
no, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean to sell it cost me like 20p every 3 months to have it listed, and
yeah,
stuff. So
yeah,
it's
no, that.
yeah,
I mean, I use T-Mill for my like t-shirt designs
yeah,
and hoodie designs and stuff, and I chose them because the quality. I mean, I'm wearing one now. Actually, I'm wearing my div jump hoodie. It's really good quality. It's supposed to be sustainable. I don't know how true that is. They say it's sustainable. It's UK based, but then they're quite expensive, and the margins are really terrible. Like
yeah,
unless you're charging a fortune for them.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, there are two or three designs where I've sold several like of that design, and then
yeah,
there's 30 or 40 which people haven't touched, and
yeah.
that's just the
Well,
way it works, isn't it?
I mean, I've got hundreds, but for the most part, yeah, I haven't sold any of them.
Well,
Sold,
you're very prolific because you you generate all of these
yeah,
like meme like they're very like kind of meme like I think.
yeah,
I mean, I I think the last time we saw each other in person was in that it was the State of the Browser conference.
yeah,
I had a
2 years ago.
Mohican, and you took a photo of me with this Mohican, and it's one of my favorite shots of me.
I
Actually, I
can't
really
remember
like that
you
photo.
had your hair big Mohican, but I remember, yeah, that you were sitting down in the chairs at the bottom near the stage, and I took some
Yeah,
photos. Yeah,
we had
uh,
a little chat in that kind of foyer, weird like sort of mezzanine area
yeah.
beforehand, and
People
they
think
were they
I'm,
were
I'm some sort of creep, but I like to take pictures because then I remember things. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't mean that's like yeah, I have to write things down to remember things. My memory is absolutely terrible.
yeah,
My brother's a he went to Oxford and then he became a barrister and is now just become a judge. He's my younger brother. He's 2.5 years younger than me. And one thing that I mean, he's just very very competent and very intelligent anyway. But one thing that's very different between us is that he has the extraordinary memory. Like he can remember stuff from
yeah,
my childhood, even though I'm the older kid that I can't remember. Right. So I do think it gives people an advantage. And
yeah, yeah, definitely.
I can't remember shit. So yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
really bad.
I mean, I was talking about that with Adrian about because just doing this work and then people asking after a project's finished, do you remember X, Y, and there's nothing there. It just goes out of my head
Yeah.
onto the.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have to look up basic stuff about, especially things like JavaScript, just
Oh
like
yeah,
really,
yeah.
really basic things that it does. Like every time I do that thing in JavaScript, I have to look it up first.
Well, that's
Yeah,
why it's
yeah,
good to have the authoritative resources to look it up because
yeah. Well, I
who
mean,
knows?
I suppose a lot of that comes from Stack Overflow, but not exclusively Stack Overflow. But now Stack Overflow is decided that it's going a sort of an AI route, or at least that was the rumor that I heard. Now people are kind of concerned, and people are withdrawing their accounts from it. So
Really?
yeah, so I think it's gonna sort of go a little bit in the direction of like Twitter or X, in that
Yeah,
people are going to start disbanding from it, and simultaneously, to keep up the numbers, it's going to get pumped full of bots and
yeah,
scripts
yeah,
and stuff, and until it's completely emulsified, which would be a bit sad.
Okay, so you should recognize the next person because I saw them with you at State of the Browser. That's why I put her in there.
Yeah, yeah, that's Amy. Yeah, so
Yeah, and
I
you're
love
muckers, aren't
Amy.
you? You and
Sorry.
Amy, you're friends.
Yeah, yeah, I would say we're yeah. She's one of the people I'm closest to within our industry, and we just we hang out as friends, whether it's at a conference or otherwise. Amy's visited me in Norwich, and we've hung out. We went to one of those uh we went to the Rage Rooms, which is one of those places where you get to like smash stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they give you like loads of like crockery and stuff that people have donated. And I had an old laptop that I took, so I let Amy was having a stressful time for whatever reason, and so I thought it'd be a good idea. And I watched her smash up this laptop, and it was very cathartic, I think, for both of
Cathartic.
us. But yeah, we've worked together. We tend to hang out. Amy's just a very droll, very funny, very sharp person.
I
Always a
can't,
good
yeah.
person to be
I mean,
around.
I haven't talked to her myself, and she's, yeah. I mean, I haven't had the opportunity to be introduced to what alt or whatever.
I
Uh,
tell you what, as well, actually, while I think of it, she's like another one like us in the sense that Amy is very Amy. Like there's no pretense or there's no kind of like ceremony. She's just very open and direct and
cool. I
like
might get her on the show.
oh, she'd be great. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah.
Who's? Do you know who the next person is?
I the eyes really reminds me of someone. Um
It's not someone in web standards. This is Alistair Crowley, and I put Alistair Crowley in there because I know that you have interesting religious or ironic religious beliefs. All I remember
yeah.
is that at the time that you were working at TPG with Mike, and that
Mm.
I think that it was known that you self-identify as a Satanist at the time. I don't know what you, but what I appreciate, and I think back about this is that Mike just oh yeah, okay, like he didn't treat
Yeah,
you.
because Mike is Christian, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah. So
he's
he
heavily.
so Mike always had a lot of time for me, and he was always he was a good he's always been a big like cheerleader for my work and everything, which
Yeah,
is I really appreciate. Really good guy. And yeah, that sort of stuff didn't seem to phase him. We actually had a conversation about it at one point, and we were just sort of
well,
like, well,
yeah,
on that
nothing
point we
plays.
agreed to disagree. We're both human, Yeah,
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 exactly,
absolutely.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's just very accepting of like he ran a broad church, so to speak, at
Yeah.
TPG. I didn't know that he was religious until about 4 or 5 years after starting work there. It's only through somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it certainly doesn't. It's not part of
No,
what we do, is it? And that's the thing. See, that's only really there where I draw the line because, well, so to explain, I would say that I am a Satanist in the secularist sense. Um, so, or in the non-theistic sense. So
yeah,
I think theoretically or technically, some people divide it this way in that um if you actually worship Satan, like as you believe that entity, that sort of deity or sub deity or
yeah,
whatever exists, and you worship it, then you're a devil worshiper. You're not actually a Satanist. Like it's the sort of Levian tradition of Satanism that I suppose, I align with in some ways, just because it's an it's an anti-theistic, um,
yeah. Gotcha.
it's kind of anti-paternalistic and anti-authoritarian. So there's something that I've come to realize recently is that one of the biggest identifying things about me, I think, is that I'm very allergic to hierarchy. And Satanism, or that brand of Satanism, is very non-hierarchical. It's just you do things your own way kind of thing, and there's no one to worship, and but also you shouldn't be stamping on other people. So I don't like being a boss, but I also don't like having a boss. So in most of life,
Yeah.
I feel completely kind of disconnected. And in the UK, particularly because we still have a standing monarchy, and all of that, I think we're horribly obsessed with hierarchy, and I
Oh
hate
yeah.
it. It bothers me all the time. And it's that thing of like, I don't mind that, your Jeff Bezoses or whoever are shitting on me, as long as I get to shit on people below me. And yeah, that kind of attitude really sucks
Yeah.
to me. And so
It's yeah.
that's kind of why I identify with
Well,
sadism a bit.
yeah. I mean
Um,
that it was these arguments that about Musk Grok and how the certain people were okay with the fact that it produced non-consensual images of children and
oh yeah,
females, but they were fine with that because it sort of caused the libtards, so to speak, uh, grief. I'm thinking,
yeah.
where?
Anything goes as long as it upsets the
Yeah,
people who are. And that's another thing that I've come to realize about that dynamic is I always thought it was like this battle for who was right and who was wrong, right? But it's not. It's about you just basically it's just arbitrary teams. I mean, it's
yeah,
not arbitrary for people on the left because I think they do have principles and frameworks for doing things for the greater good. But it to the right, it's just you're either on my team or you're not, right?
yeah. It's
It's
like
like
football.
it doesn't matter if we're being hypocrites because if we're doing it, that's just us winning as a team.
Yeah,
So there's no kind of like objective morality to it whatsoever.
it's mad.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
second row. We're only in the second row. First
yeah,
person.
yeah. So that's Sarah. I
How do you say a
believe
second name? I'm never quite sure.
I think it's Sweden.
So,
But
um,
it's been a long time.
I'll ask her. I'm doing a chat with her in next month.
Oh,
So,
nice.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I've been trying to get a range of people.
yeah, sure. So Sarah, I've only actually met in person once.
I've never met her.
Um, we were I believe we were both speakers at a Smashing magazine conference, like a Smashing conf,
Yeah,
years ago. Like it's probably 2016 or something like that. And they had like there was this sort of chill out room area that they had sort of separate to the main stage and everything, which had lots of Lego. And so we had a little chat and a little get to know each other over some Lego. We were building a little bit of Lego, which was very nice. And she's ever so sharp and uh, just so hardworking, like
yeah. She always
absolutely
seems to
just
be working.
incredible. Yeah, like
So,
the it was the SVG stuff I think originally um, that she's well known for, and uh, yeah, just getting to know that stuff totally inside out, and then there was a time where she was doing this conference talk, and for some reason, like her speaker notes didn't work, and there was something wrong with the screen, or there was a massive technical malfunction, and she just said, "That's okay. I'll just do it without that stuff. I've got it memorized." And she just plowed through it, like remembered everything in order. Like again, amazing memory.
yeah,
Um, but my fondest memory of Sarah is that when I released, so the first book I actually got put into print with Smashy Magazine, which was Inclusive Design Patterns.
yeah,
It's a white book with the really sort of sketchy illustration I did on the front. I insisted on doing all the illustrations. Um, I think at the time,
sorry. You've gone.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, cool. Sorry, my the batteries on my
no
headphones.
worries.
Um, yeah, I think at the time she was only sort of just making sort of inquiries into accessibility, was interested in being involved in it. was growing a passion for it. She'd bought my book and she sent me this really, really lovely message. It wasn't so much about the content of the book. She was just saying she thought that the like the first like the introduction or the first few pages were really well written, and she was saying, "Oh, it's just like made my synapses fire,"
Good.
and you know, and
Was that the book that I tech-edited one of them?
oh yeah, it might have been that one.
Yeah, it might have been.
That
Yeah,
would
you
have,
didn't ask me again. I thought, yeah, probably. That's the thing. That's the way it works with me. I get asked to do a presentation, I present, and I never hear anything back, which is weird. I never get invited back a second time, which I quite like because I done my dash. I'm not like the sort of person that wants to, redo the same. I don't like going on the presentation circuit, redoing the same thing over and over again.
Oh no, I'm the same, yeah. And Amy's like that too.
Yeah.
Amy generally does a new talk for every conference, which
Well,
is a lot of work,
I
you
only
know.
want to talk about stuff that yeah, I wanted to impart knowledge, I suppose.
Yeah.
That knowledge is, yeah, the lack of knowledge. Um, yeah, so Sarah, I'm looking forward to chatting to her. Next up is, do you know who that person is?
Again, it's the face is familiar,
Matt
but
May.
oh, Matt May, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so Matt
Matt and
May's
I
an
talk.
interesting character. He's I believe that, what's the religion that, fuck. He is, what's the,
Is it a Christian sect?
no,
Or
no,
no, no, no.
no,
Oh, okay.
it's
Buddhist?
Buddhist. He's a Buddhist, yeah, but he's
Okay,
actually
cool.
I think that he's some sort of, religious ceremonial person, whatever they're called. Um,
Oh, yeah, okay. That's cool.
he's been ordained or whatever, but
Yeah.
he's an interesting character. He's been around for many years. He worked at the W3C. He was involved with the development. He was heavily. I think he was a an editor of WCAG something.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and
I always
he
think
wrote.
with people who are editing WCAG particularly, like because Pat's been involved quite a lot
Yeah,
with
well,
stuff, right?
Pat's right in that. What he's doing a
Yeah.
lot of work is um, updating the voluminous amounts of WCAG 2.2 documentation, all
Mm,
those hundreds of documents that are sometimes years old, and then
yeah.
they've been going through and updating and improving them, which is great. I mean,
Yeah.
I listen in on the Friday afternoon calls, and Pat's been involved with that for the last year or two, and now he's the task force commander or whatever they're called because other people dropped out. But anyway, so yeah, so Matt May, he's going to talk. He worked for Adobe with Andrew Kirkpatrick for
Oh,
many
that's right.
years.
Adobe. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I knew him from there because TPG, used to be Adobe used to be a customer, and so we worked with Matt. But we just, again, he's one of those people. I see him, like probably seen him at CSUN and things like that, and we're always friendly. But I never really had a chance to sit down and have a good conversation with him. So hopefully, when I meet to talk with him, that we will.
He
Um,
from his writing, he has really, to me, like really interesting patterns of communication. Like his writing style. I was going to say like the way he talks, but I mean in writing. But
yeah.
um, I think he's pretty sure he's quite openly very neurodivergent. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
I
forget
mean,
which flavor of neurodivergence. But that always like I'm neurodivergent of some sort of flavor, but nobody's sure what. But I tend to get on very well with people who are also that way inclined. Like all the folks I worked with at the BBC, they're all neurodivergent of some form, whether it's
yeah.
one end or other of
Who
the.
did you work with at the BBC? Did you work with who's the guy with my brain? He's got a little
Lion.
Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie and Lion. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Jamie
So
and
I did
Lion.
work
Yeah,
with Jamie, although I didn't often speak with Jamie, but yeah, I did work with. So it was Gareth Ford Williams,
yeah,
they've all left now.
yeah,
It's Gareth Ford Williams, Michael Matthews, and Jamie. Yeah, Jamie and Lion. And they're all Gareth is ADHD,
yeah.
um, and and Michael and
He's just a cunt, really, isn't he? Old Gareth. He's a
yeah,
lovable. He's a lovable one. He
yeah.
got me into trouble because he wanted a shirt that said "accessibly twat," which I made, and he he almost got me uh, cancelled because obviously twat is here in the UK. It's a word
Ah.
that anybody uses. In the US, um, it's highly offensive. Like,
So I have strong thoughts about this because actually one of our former colleagues or like mutual colleagues used to always pick me up for using the word cunt and say you shouldn't use that because it's misogynistic. And I tried to moderate it because I do think that if part of your audience is American and then that's what
yeah,
they hear, it can be triggering or whatever. But at the same time, it's like no, in the UK and in Australia, it's
yeah.
just a vulgarity, right? It's just to be vulgar,
Well,
like
it's
saying,
not just to be. I mean, you could use it in a really friendly term.
well, yeah, and
Yeah,
also
love
because
that cunt.
a vulgarity that's used in a context where you're being friendly it is something about saying something that's vulgar in the sense that it's familiar and it's open. If you
Yeah,
it sort of works like that, I guess. But yeah, yeah, and my belief is just that it is misogynistic in America because America's an extremely misogynistic place. So
yes,
if you
yes.
sort of mean, and it's actually it'd be very rare that I would call a woman or someone who identifies as a woman a cunt because I am aware of that connotation. It's usually
No, but in the
you know,
UK, it's fairly regularly women use that term to
yeah,
refer
well, yeah, that's
to
true.
other things. So, you know, yeah. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know. I was watching this Stuart Lee comedy vehicle show,
Oh yeah, I love that show.
and he was talking about context-free words, and that just reminded me of that
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
yeah, it's about the context that it's used. Um,
Absolutely. I mean, that's why we automating algorithms for certain terms being bad is, or teaching AI that you can't use certain terms
yeah,
is ridiculous because to talk about sensitive topics or topics which are problematic, you need to invoke them, which means you need to use the terminology. There's a
exactly.
really
Yeah.
brilliant bit in have you ever seen the show Kimmy Schmidt, the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt?
No, I haven't.
Ah, okay. So there's a character who's the main character Kimmy was kidnapped and kept hostage by like a cultist in an underground bunker, and so that was a very traumatic experience in her life. And so there's an episode where she's talking to someone, and they say. Kimmy, I appreciate that it's triggering, so I'll ask you first, is it okay if I use the term bunker? And she sort of nods reluctantly, and then he just goes, bunker, like that. And it's like, if you're I mean, either talk about it or don't talk about it.
Yeah,
Like, if you're like, all you're really doing by having like what's it called? The content warning is just summarizing the horrible thing you're about to say into the most offensive part. Like,
yeah,
yeah. So
exactly. Um, it's 6:10, and I'm thinking that we haven't even got through this. Uh,
yeah,
what I would propose to you is I've got to go and have dinner because it's my birthday.
of course, yeah.
What I propose to you is if we pause it here and then we meet again next week and we do a part two, and so we have two separate. Is if that's okay with you? Because
Yeah. I mean, I'm enjoying myself. Yeah, we can do
yeah,
that. I mean, we can pick up where we left off. There's a few folks
yeah,
here who
yeah,
I've got
that's what
some
I mean.
things to talk. I want to talk about Makoto because they did me a real solid recently with some translation stuff.
Cool.
So yeah, and Adrian
Yeah,
is one of the the most interesting people I've ever met.
And there's,
Uh,
yeah, that's what
mm.
I was, there's the swallow's arms. That picture was originally that he just had one arm up like that, and he was somewhere doing a presentation. I took the arm and then I turned into that. I used it in a number of ways, yeah.
It's like the most of in jokes. Like,
Yeah, well, that's,
everyone's
yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah.
kind of- but
It's just
that's
for my own amusement, the amusement of people I'm close to generally, but,
mm,
you know,
yeah, I love it.
but also because, Adrian asked me to
Oh
do
yeah, of course.
lose away shirts. So
The stuff that I remember most fondly is the stuff you used to do with Patrick. Like, with, it was just this one image of him on the toilet over and
oh
over.
yeah, I talk about that. I got that. That picture was originally published by Bruce. It's still up there. It's still,
Oh, that was a Bruce one, was it? Okay.
yeah. There was originally a Bruce, and then I took it. And I started putting it everywhere. I did this TPG marketing campaign, which I'll share that. But
I mean, that says a lot about Mike that that he
yeah,
went with you doing all of that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I was doing stuff. Let me see if I can find it because that might
Hmm.
be a good thing for us to leave on. I've
Yeah,
got.
sure.
Let me have a look. Now, advanced. Uh, oh, it's just ridiculous. New docs.
I can just picture now you've got this enormous folder on your computer of all of these completely deranged images.
Unfortunately, I have deranged images, but it's all over the fucking shop. I don't know where I keep things.
Oh, I see. Yeah, fair enough.
But hold on. Yeah, I've just got hundreds of screenshots and things, but I don't know where is it? I've got to find it now.
Well, yeah. Why don't you dig them out and we can go over them in session two, like
Yeah,
when
no, no, I want to sign off with this.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
But
Yeah, I'm not in a hurry particularly, so yeah, I don't mind waiting.
no, no, I'll find it. I'll find it. I can't find
Which
it.
one is the toilet one you're talking about? Is it that you're
Yeah, yeah, it's
looking for?
definitely the
Yeah.
toilet one. But no, I'll find it. What? It's just yeah. No. I don't know what the fuck I've done with it. I put it somewhere.
I bet I can find it if I Google it.
No,
That
I've got a what I have is I have a recording of it because what I originally had it as the start of this thing, but no, it's here we go. Okay, might be.
I was just searching Patrick Lauker.
Oh, you
I
probably wouldn't
can't.
find the
It's not come
original
up.
photo from Bruce.
It's not actually come up surprisingly.
Okay, now I've found it. I've just got to share it. Okay, so can you see that? Yes. So this is the my TPG marketing, and we'll finish on this, and we'll come back and discuss some more.
Yeah, yeah, cool. Oh, there's a yeah, you got the video at the bottom. Is there music? Should I be hearing music?
Yeah, can't you hear the music?
No, Zoom's really annoying for that. I was trying to do a call the other day where I had some music stuff that I was trying to play,
I don't know
and
why it's not playing music. It's the
but
Devo corporate anthem.
this is brilliant though. Anyway, the typography, the colors, you've you've really reduced it down to an art form.
Yeah, I made this ages. Like this is probably 10 years old.
I did it when I was at university. One of the things. Oh, there was the picture. It's just flown by.
Yeah,
Amazing. So Mike saw this then.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
That
when
was yeah. I mean, yeah. It's
I,
not it's for a thing I do today, but it's
no, no, sure, but like, well,
all right. Well,
once you've done, you can't up in the ante would be quite difficult. I think is the
yeah,
trouble.
no. I mean, the fireside chat itself was something that I was born out of TPG because we had, we started getting more and more people, and we had a water cooler. I think at the time it was Skype, then we moved to Teams. But
Mm.
I just started to do this thing where I asked people 5 questions and got them to respond. It was called the fireside chat, and um, they would respond, and I'd put it on a post with a picture. They'd provide a picture, so it was just a way of people getting to know each other. And
Yeah,
this,
that's nice. Yeah,
yeah, this
I
is
like the
what this
thought
is.
that it's kind of ostensibly the topic is about accessibility, I suppose, because we're involved in that. But it's it's looser. It's
Yeah, well, fuck. I mean, I'm sure that well, other people have done accessibility. Really, I'm not. Yeah, I'm interested in the people, such as you,
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah,
you, my friend. Anyway,
yeah.
thanks, Hayden. I will organise to meet again, and we'll have two fireside chats. This is
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I mean, if we can find a date to do it next week, great. If we can't and we do it the following week, I'll be in Iceland, but I'm on the same time zone because
oh,
Iceland's
cool. All right,
7.
what are you doing
So,
in Iceland?
my wife, you met Fan a long time ago.
Yeah,
My wife Fan has got some work there as because she's a psychologist. Um, she's working with some local people there in social work and basically helping them assess some traumatized children and that sort of stuff. So we've sort of become friends with a couple there, Björk and Henrik. Björk isn't her real name; she's just named herself after the singer so that people
yeah.
remember her name. Like English people or English speaking people. But yeah, we went and stayed there. Like I just tagged along basically because Van was going, and I went to Iceland in my early 20s. I went hiking right across Iceland. That was great. But yeah, so we're going back because she's got some more work there, and I'm just gonna hang out and hopefully
Enjoy.
get some skiing in because
Yeah, brilliant.
I love my skiing, but there's fuck all skiing in Norfolk. It's
Yeah,
too
well, it's
flat.
all really pretty flat, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah,
cross
there's
country
Milton
skiing, I
Keynes that's
suppose.
like an indoor slope thing, but
Yeah.
it's just one slope, so it's not much good really. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I hate the flying and everything. I'm a very nervous.
It's only 4 hours there though, isn't it?
It's less than that actually. It's like 2 hours 45 minutes or
I've
something.
been
But yeah.
I stopped in Iceland once on the way to America.
Yeah, that's a good route into
Yeah.
America. Yeah.
Not that I go to America anymore.
No, and also you'd have to go over Greenland now,
Yeah.
which is like slightly concerning that situation. But we can get into that more next week if you like.
I like the fact that you call yourself Hayden Zappa. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I feel bad because there was you always was like finding pictures of me looking a bit like that, but I don't have that facial hair anymore. Like so, But yeah,
That's fine. Yeah, well, there's that one illustration that you look. Well, you could have been Zappa. You could
yeah,
have been many things, my friend. Um, I will catch up with you soon. All
yeah,
right.
cool. Yeah,
Thanks,
just let me
Hayden.
know when you're available and stuff. Enjoy the rest of your birthday, Steve.
Will do. Will do.
Really good to
Great to
see
catch up.
you.
See
Yeah,
ya.
nice one. Cheers.
Bye.